All right, welcome to our video about the input analysis homework that you had this past week. I wanted to go over how to actually complete that in more detail now that you've given it a shot on your own. There's several ways to complete this, and I've got the homework here pulled up. There's really two ways, and again, as I said, one is by hand, and so one is doing the math yourself and kind of stepping your way through it really slow. That's actually probably a great way to get started. So that's going to be the focus of my video, is looking at your homework and how do you complete the steps, kind of going over this in detail. Again, our product is, what we're producing is the output is alfalfa. That's a hay product that we produce, and we measure it in tons of production. So it's just a measure. The input that we have in this case, now we have lots of inputs. We've got water, we've got tractor time in the field, we've got herbicides, insecticides, but one of the important inputs is going to be fertilizer. Now all those other inputs have to happen as well, but if you just isolate fertilizer and you leave all those others the same, if you vary the amount of fertilizer, you're curious, will that increase yield? Well, of course, there is one end that when you don't have any fertilizer at all, you have a certain yield. And so that's a given. Then if you put on too much fertilizer, you burn the crop up and actually it produces less. The change is not just less, it actually produces less. You kill off the crop. Those are all crazy places to be. So this homework focuses on logical uses of lime that cause production to go up, but they cause it to go up in different amounts. So that's what we're looking at, and we're using our steps or our columns of information: average production, marginal input cost, marginal value product, things that were in the chapter from last week. We want to use those to answer some questions about how much lime should we put on, which is a fertilizer, to get alfalfa. So that's really the point of the homework. So let's step through that and take a look. All right, so here's your homework. Remember, we're doing input analysis. So what input can give you the output? And that's our problem. Now, in your homework, and as an example, you have tons of lime used as a fertilizer to produce tons of alfalfa hay. So to get that done in your homework, you were given some information. And I've just kind of by hand rewritten the information here to start with. You've got tons of lime. Starts out with 2 tons, and it goes to 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. Keeps it consistent. It goes up by 0.1 each time. Now the next thing that we've got is we've got alfalfa yield. And that's going to start off at 3.33 tons. And that's going to be our production. That's what we want to produce. Eventually, we're looking at if this is a profit or not. So we know the lime goes up by 0.10 every time. And the question is that alfalfa goes up by different amounts. Now, I went ahead and calculated those amounts, and they're called the change. And that's an important number we're going to use later. But our production goes up from the first level to the second level. So I'm going to ignore the first level and go straight from 2 to 2.1. Means alfalfa production goes up from 3.33 to 3.3905. And then I calculated that number. It is 0.065. And I just kept doing that the whole way down. So the next level goes a little bit more. 2.1 to 2.2 goes 3.3905, and that gives us to 0.34452, gives us a little bit more, 0.0547. And if you keep going through there, it's just looking at production goes up each time. Now, the change does not quite go up as much each time. In fact, you can see it's 0.06, 0.05, 0.04. So you can see those change each time. So really, all of these could be likely good ideas. If you stopped at the very beginning and said 2.1 tons of lime is how much would make the most money, that's not really going to be it. It goes up each time. So every one of these levels, 2 all the way to 3 tons of lime, is going to produce us more alfalfa. Now the change is what we're focusing on, or one of the things we're going to focus on. So that's just something to make sure you know and understand right away. And so let's step through the rest of those variables. The first one is average physical product. Now I wrote the formulas here to help you in this example. That's just the tons of alfalfa divided by tons of lime. Now what does that mean? That means that this value that you calculate using that formula is going to be the alfalfa produced per ton of lime. So it's the amount of alfalfa, which is also tons. So the amount of alfalfa, tons of alfalfa produced per ton of lime, because you're dividing it. Now, don't let it confuse you that the numbers are 2, 2.1, 2.2. They all represent the tons. But when you divide any number by any other number, that base, in this case lime, your answer is per 1 unit. And in this case, that's tons of lime. All right, what about marginal physical product? That's the focus of the change in alfalfa divided by the change in lime. So not at a level anymore, we're looking at the change. So that means marginal physical product is the change in alfalfa yield per the change in 1 ton of lime again. Don't let it confuse you. Again, we're going up by 0.1, but it's all based on per tons of lime. What is MIC? It stands for marginal input cost, and that is just the cost of the lime, and that is per ton. In this case, it was given to you at $10. All right, marginal value product. I know my cost now. What's the value? Well, it's the change in production, which is marginal physical product, times the price, now this time of alfalfa because it's our product. So marginal value product is your change, which we've calculated MPP. We calculated the change. You go from 2 to 2.1 tons of lime, and that changes alfalfa from 3.33 to 3.905, gives us that 0.0605. We calculated all those to show you. And so marginal value product is the value change per ton of lime change. And so those are the numbers that we need. Really, MIC and MVP are the two main ones we're after. So MIC is the change in the cost, and the question is it worth it for the value? So that's really your question. Now, I've got all these numbers here on this page, but I want to just start off with a couple of the rows and show you how you can fill these out. Now, another part of our week here shows you the exact answers for all of this, but let's go to the 2.5 level, and that is 3.5745 tons of lime. It keeps going up a little bit each time. Let's look at what happens when we start off at the 2.5. Well, average physical product is just dividing 3.57 divided by 2.5. That's 1.43. So that is 1.43 tons of alfalfa per 1 ton of lime. That's the average. And so that's the first thing we're going to calculate. Let's calculate now the change. All right, well, when you're at 2.4, at 2.5, you came from 2.4. So 2.4 to 2.5 goes up by 0.1. Yield goes up from 3.53 to 3.57. That's 0.0373, just subtracting those. So I've got the change in production, and I've got the change in lime. I just divide those two, and so I'm going to get 0.373. What that means, 0.373 tons of alfalfa, goes up for every change in 1 ton of lime. Now, 1, remember, is the denominator. Every time the change, when you divide any number by another number, it's based on 1 unit. All right, now what does that cost? Well, every ton of lime costs $10. So that's easy. It's the cost of the lime. So the next question is, what about the value? What is it worth? Well, we calculated the change, the 0.373. We know that alfalfa is worth $30. So if it goes up by 0.373, that's times $30. That means that change was worth $11.19. All right, so is it worth it to spend $10 to get $11.19? Well, if you just keep doing that over and over and over, have a lot of alfalfa fields, you could make money on that. So the answer is that yes, that would be a good way to go. 2.4 to 2.5 tons of lime gives you an $11 value when you spend 10. So that answer is yes, good. So when you look across those values, you got an average, a change in the cost, and a change in the value. All right, let's go to the next level. So now you go from 2.5 to 2.6. Alfalfa goes from 3.57 to 3.06. Let's just divide those and get an average. Well, your average is this 1.387. And so your average is going down a little bit, but that's what the average is. Let's look at the change. Well, the change is going from, again, 2.5 to 2.6 is 0.1 again Production goes up by 0.0315. You divide those, you get 0.315. So you compare it to the last level. Our change is going down a bit. Still cost us $10. Product still worth $30. So value product now is going to tell us a little bit if that's a good idea, $9.45. So in this case, the answer is, well, I wouldn't go all the way to 2.6 because that is going to cause me to lose money. So what is our answer here? Well, 2.4 to 2.5 gives us extra money. 2.5 to 2.6 all the way does not give us enough money. So the answer is somewhere between 2.5 tons of lime and 2.6 because that is where we make the most profit. If you look at the change, that's what we're doing here. We're not doing total product, total revenue, total cost. We're looking at the change. And so if you can spend $10 and get 11 back, that's good. If you spend $10 and get $9.45 back, that would be bad. Somewhere in between there is our maximum profit. And that's kind of the focus of what we're trying to do with this homework, using all of these variables, kind of getting right to the heart of the matter. Now, this is how you work this through, hopefully step by step, based on some of the questions I've gotten. This was important to kind of understand. So hopefully this works. Take the work I've done here and apply it to how you did your own homework by hand. That would be my advice. Now, I'm also going to talk about this week the complete answer to all of the homework. And doing the math yourself like I did here is very good. But now we're going to talk about the homework using Microsoft Excel. It's a little easier, a little faster maybe.